Welcome to today's Explainer. You know, when we hear the word Kashmir today, it's usually geopolitics and modern borders that immediately spring to mind. But if we actually look at the historical data, it reveals a completely different story. We're talking about a history that's literally thousands of years old, and honestly, it's absolutely fascinating.
So, is Kashmir only a story of conflict? Absolutely not. It turns out this whole region is an ancient cradle of civilization. It was a massive hub for diverse religions and the seat of monumental empires that, believe it or not, actually shaped the course of human history.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover origins and ancient Kashmir, the great Hindu empires, the Islamic era begins, the Mughal paradise, regional power shifts, and finally, partition and modern Kashmir. Let's dive right in.
Section 1. Origins and Ancient Kashmir. The Prehistoric Lake. Okay, so it is just incredible to see the harmony between ancient myth and modern science here. Ancient Hindu texts, like the Nilamata Purana tradition, actually state that the sage Rishi Kashyap drained a vast lake to create the valley. And get this, modern geology completely backs this up. They've confirmed that millions of years ago, a massive prehistoric lake absolutely did exist there and slowly emptied out. How cool is that? Well, once those waters receded, human settlements blossomed thousands of years ago. It quickly evolved into a really vital early hub for Hinduism. Then, the landscape shifted once again in the 3rd century BC. That's when Emperor Ashoka brought Buddhism to the region, which sparked the construction of these massive monasteries and huge educational centers.
Section 2. The Great Hindu Empires, a golden age of culture.
So, as local rulers took the reins, the 8th century brought what we can really call a true golden age. King Lalitaditya of the Karkota Empire wasn't just your average local ruler. He was a legendary leader, and his influence literally shaped the destiny of the entire region. Under his Karkota Empire, Kashmir didn't just expand its borders. It transformed into an elite, bustling center for knowledge and deep philosophy. It became the birthplace of incredibly rich Sanskrit literature and monumental architectural achievements that showcase some seriously mind-blowing ancient engineering. Moving on to Section 3, the Islamic era begins. 14th century shifts. Right, so the cultural landscape shifted yet again. Islam officially arrived in the valley during the 14th century, and by 1339, Shah Mir established the very first Muslim empire there. But the real deep cultural shift, that happened right at the grassroots level. The faith was spread deeply by the peaceful teachings of Sufi saints and scholars like Mir Syed Ali Hamadani.
Section 4. The Mughal paradise, Akbar's 1586 conquest.
Now, the Mughals felt an intensely personal, almost magical connection to this land. Emperor Jahangir famously captured this total fascination with the valley. He declared, "If there is a paradise on earth, it is this, it is this, it is this." And, you know, Jahangir's profound fascination wasn't just spoken. It was literally built into the very earth. The Mughals engineered a breathtaking physical legacy that actually still exists today. They constructed these magnificent terraced historical gardens all across the valley. Shalimar Bagh and Nishat Bagh stand out as the ultimate awe-inspiring symbols of this earthly paradise. It was a real game changer for the region's aesthetic. Section 5. Shifts in regional power, the post-Mughal empires. But as the Mughal influence began to wane, what followed was a rapid succession of different empires. It's kind of like a revolving door of power. In 1752, the Afghan Durrani Empire under Ahmad Shah Abdali took hold. Then, by 1819, the Sikh Empire stepped in under Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Fast forward to 1846, and we see Dogra Rule established under Maharaja Gulab Singh. And those Dogra rulers, they successfully maintained their grip on this newly formed princely state of Jammu and Kashmir for exactly 1 century. They heavily influenced the region's administration right up until the mid-20th century. Which brings us to Section 6, Partition and Modern Kashmir, the 1947 division. Okay, we are now approaching the most complex part of our explainer. During the 1947 partition, Jammu and Kashmir remained a princely state. But that very same year, armed conflict erupted over the territory. This eventually led to a ceasefire that physically divided the region. And as you probably know, the subsequent decades have seen various wars and continuous political shifts.
This directly brings us to the line of control, or the LOC. Basically, this is the demarcation line established right after that post-1947 ceasefire, and it continues to physically and administratively divide the region to this day. Now, because of the sheer density of these post-1947 events, multiple distinct viewpoints exist today. Indian, Pakistani, and Kashmiri voices all hold incredibly different historical stances. So, to truly grasp the reality of modern Kashmir, it is absolutely essential that we objectively acknowledge all of these diverse perspectives. So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? Well, Kashmir's history is a vibrant, complex tapestry that stretches way, way beyond its modern conflicts. It's an ancient cradle of civilization, a bustling hub for deep knowledge and philosophy, a peaceful meeting point for ancient religions, and an incredible timeline of diverse, monumental empires. History really is like a giant puzzle, just waiting to be understood, right? So, what piece of the historical puzzle should we decode next? Let me know what historical topic you want to explore in our next explainer, and of course, don't forget to subscribe.